King Bumi of Omashu is Avatar Aang's oldest friend because Bumi has been friends with Aang for the longest time. Aang has been friends with Bumi longer than any of his other friends. And Bumi is also literally the oldest of all of Aang's friends because Bumi is 112 years old. But back when Bumi and Aang were kids, did Bumi know that Aang was the Avatar? So back when Bumi and Aang were kids, Aang would constantly visit Omashu and he would play with Bumi, hang out together, and they would ride these slides together. So back then, did Bumi know that his friend Aang was the Avatar? My guess is no, because in book 1 of Avatar The Last Airbender, when Aang comes back to Omashu after 100 years, Bumi sees Aang, and this is the look on Bumi's face, because Bumi sees Aang, and Bumi immediately recognizes Aang, because Aang literally has not changed a bit. Aang looks exactly the same, so Bumi realizes that Aang is Aang, but he has a look of surprise on his face, because by this point, the news of the Avatar's return has already traveled across the world, so everyone across the world knows that the Avatar is back, and of course everyone knows that the Avatar is an airbender because the airbending Avatar was never found. So they know that the last airbender is the Avatar. The Avatar is the last airbender. So Bumi sees the airbender, realizes he's the Avatar, but he also recognizes that it's Aang. So this is the moment that Bumi finally realizes that Aang is the Avatar. So Bumi is, yes, surprised to see that his friend Aang survived, and also surprised to see that Aang is in fact the Avatar. Now, an argument can be made that since Bumi is so smart and such a genius, that he already pieced it together and that he already knew that Aang was the Avatar even back when they were kids, but there is no evidence for this theory. There's no evidence against it, but there's no evidence for it. And also, Bumi was only 12 at the time, so even though he was smart, people continue to get smarter over time, so 112-year-old Bumi, definitely smarter than 12-year-old Bumi, so it would suffice. Maybe Bumi, at the age of 12 years old, probably could not piece together the fact that his friend was the Avatar. Because keep in mind that back then, when Aang and Bumi were playing together, Aang didn't even know that he was the Avatar. The monks hadn't even told him yet. And when the monks told Aang that he was the Avatar, Aang felt a little bad for a while, and it would seem that Aang just stayed at the air temple after the monks told him he was the Avatar. Like, before Aang disappeared, and after he was told he was the Avatar. So the time period in between when Aang was told he was the Avatar and before Aang decided to run away, it would seem that during that period, Aang just stayed at this Southern Air Temple and did not really leave. So my guess is that Aang never had the opportunity to tell Bumi that he was the Avatar. So obviously, since Aang hadn't told him, Bumi wouldn't know. And also, even if Aang had met Bumi after figuring out he was the Avatar, I doubt that Aang would have wanted to talk about it because clearly he felt really bad about it and he just wasn't happy to be the Avatar. So I don't think Aang would have mentioned it to Bumi either. So Bumi never found out that Aang was the Avatar before the Air Nomad Genocide, before the 100-Year War. And Bumi probably didn't know that Aang was the Avatar, and Bumi probably assumed that Aang was dead. Which is why Bumi was so surprised to see that Aang was alive and that Aang was in fact the Avatar. So, long story short, Bumi had no idea that his friend Aang was the Avatar back when they were kids. But of course, in the series, he finds out very quickly.